Well, good morning and welcome to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Thank you for joining us. It's Sunday morning, March the 5th, 2023, and we are live here for the Minnesota Real Estate Show at Love 105 FM every Sunday morning, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. The show is hosted by Mike Overson of Luminate Home Loans, Scott Wolmering, and myself, Ryan O'Neill of the Minnesota Real Estate Team, Remax Advantage Plus. Appreciate you joining us here this morning. This is a live show, local, interactive. We welcome your questions, comments, thoughts on the Facebook or the social media stream. And at any point throughout the show, 612-294-6949 is how you can join us. Again, 612-294-6949. Scott, Mike, and Brad Sanford with Farmers Insurance in studio today. Guys, we're just getting ready to go live on air here on Love 105 FM. Should be a good show. Parade of Homes, Mike.
Parade of Homes started yesterday. Heard there was good traffic here too.
Yeah. Actually, I was talking with my ex-wife Jen yesterday, and she works for Country Joe, pretty much out of Lakeville. I think they've got a couple different developments, and she had like 25 people through, which doesn't sound busy, but that's really busy. And I know like some of the national builders, they'll get 400 or 500 people through on a Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, here we go. We're getting ready to go live on air again. Love 105 FM. 612-294-6949 is how you can join us throughout the show. Questions, comments, thoughts, a lot to talk about, guys. Brad, you ready for a show?
I'm ready. How about you guys?
Yeah, you guys.
It's early.
Here we go, guys. Thanks for joining us here. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Appreciate you joining us. Thank you. Thanks for being with us here today. We've got we're checking through some mics. We'll try this one here, Mike. There we go. Let's try that. There we go. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Appreciate you joining us. 612-294-6949 is how you can join us throughout the show, throughout the week as well. Questions, comments, thoughts. This is a live show, a local show, interactive and fun. Again, the show is hosted by Mike Overson, Luminate Home Loans, and Scott Wolmering, and myself, Ryan O'Neill of the Minnesota Real Estate Team, Remax Advantage Plus. March the 5th. Guys, excited to be here. Got a great show. Scott, Mike, good morning to you.
Morning. Yeah, good to be here. Like Ryan said, welcome everybody. This is the Minnesota Real Estate Show in the Twin Cities here, like Ryan said, local. And our phone number is 612-294-6949. If you want to join the discussion, you can go live on air, or you can text us at that number, 612-294-6949, and we will answer your question. If you've not caught the show before, this is our 18th year on air. Just probably a few months here now with our new station, 105.1. And we do talk everything real estate related. But like Ryan said, it's an active show, interactive show. So go ahead and give us a call, give us your questions. We always like to throw out kind of a fun, non-real estate related question that people can answer either by social media or by calling in the show or texting us. So the question this week is, what is your favorite current streaming show? So what currently on Netflix or Amazon Prime or whatever you watch, what is your favorite streaming show that you do right now? Probably not looking for the Breaking Bads and things like that. That was older, kind of newer things that you're looking that you like.
Good question from Mr. Wolmering. And again, we're here from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. every Sunday morning for your questions, comments, thoughts, talking all things real estate related. The Parade of Homes here in the Twin Cities started yesterday. So we're going to be talking some new construction. Of course, the first segment, we always do a real estate update and a mortgage update. Brad Sanford, Farmers Insurance, with us as well. And again, like Scott said, 612-294-6949 is how you can reach us by phone or text. Mike, Overson Luminate Home Loans, your team, you've been sending out a lot of pre-approval letters for buyers in the market. What are you hearing from all the buyers and agents you're working with?
Well, we're definitely seeing that multiple offers are here. We spoke about that over the last couple of weeks here. We had a kind of a break, November, December, maybe first part of January, where not everything was going into multiple offers, and you could maybe take your time and actually do a second showing on a house, and maybe get the seller to pay some of your closing costs. We're kind of past that at this point.
Yeah.
I think that ship has sailed. We're into the spring market now. We have a ton of pre-approved buyers out there right now looking at homes, which means that as we move through the spring and more houses start coming on to the market, they're going to get gobbled up quick. So we're back to that. Hey, if you see a house that pops up on your search, get a showing set up right away. Get a hold of your agent. Figure out if you want to make an offer and get that offer in, because it's going to be that way here coming up for the next few months.
What are you seeing, Mike? Interest rates? Have interest rates been rising?
They did, yeah. Since February 2nd, it's almost been on a straight line, just day after day, rates just creeping and rising up there. Now, this last Friday, so 2 days ago, they actually reversed. So I think we kind of hit a peak, if you will, and we're bouncing off that ceiling. And I think rates are going to start coming back down here a little bit. We're definitely going to get relief this week from some of the economic news that's coming out. So rates, I believe, will continue to drop now this week versus go up. The big drop in interest rates is going to be May, though. From what we're hearing, that's when like a lot of this inflation data will catch up and it will come out, and expected that it's going to be good. And we could see rates drop somewhat significantly then. Again, nothing is guaranteed, right? That's just the talks of the town right now.
So maybe explain that. So if the economy, or in this case inflation, levels out a little bit, so people aren't as freaked out as they currently are, why does that affect real mortgage interest rates?
Yeah. So anything that's in general, anything that's bad for the economy is good for interest rates. Inflation is one of those things that's the opposite, right? Inflation is bad for our economy. And so as that comes down, our interest rates are going to come down. That's the one thing that's opposite of kind of what I always say there. What's going to come out in May here is they're expecting that the feds are going to be aggressive with raising the Fed's funds interest rate, which is not mortgage interest rates, right? We've talked about that before. The feds are going to be pretty aggressive still, it sounds like, over the next couple of months, raising the Fed's funds rates, which is going to pull back inflation. That information now is going to catch up, and that's going to come out in May. And they're expecting that to be that information to really slow inflation down quite a bit. And that's why they're predicting that interest rates are probably going to take a pretty good dip in May, because that information over the next 2 months is going to come out.
So where are our interest rates, Mike?
So, we hit 7% again this last week.
Wow.
Okay.
Friday they went back down, so we're in the high sixes.
Okay.
But last week, Wednesday, Thursday, we're up around 7%. High sixes now. Hopefully they drift down over the next week, hit the mid sixes. I think in May, when this information comes out, the same type of thing happened in November. November 10th it was. Interest rates went down 0.5% in one day because of that same information. So I think once May hits, I think we could probably see high fives again.
Let's dive in before the first break here at the Minnesota Real Estate Show to the real estate update. And again, you can join us at any point, 612-294-6949 by phone or by text. Or again, we're streaming on your favorite social media platform, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. We appreciate you joining us at the Minnesota Real Estate Show. So new listings in the Twin Cities down again, 18% less new homes went on the market this past week, comparing year over year. 914 new homes, pending sales down 23% year over year, 698 pendings. And then the inventory is up year over year, 13.9%. to 5,667. They also released some national numbers from Realtor.com that said that the number of homes available nationwide is up 65.5% compared to January of 2022, so a year ago. However, they went on to say that it's still 43% lower than it was through 2017 and 2019. And so it's still, still kind of the same thing. Historically low inventory levels every day on the Minnesota real estate team. We get about 8 emails with buyer needs. I have a buyer need pre-approved, 20% down. They're looking for something in St. Louis Park. They're looking for something in Blaine and Stillwater and New Prague and Hutchinson. I've never seen so many buyer need emails in my life.
Well, that's why I always chuckle, when we talk about inventory being, down up 13 or 16% from this week last year. You got to remember, we got to 4,500 homes last year. So it was the lowest inventory in the history of inventory. So, I mean, it was extremely low. So the fact that we're up 16%, we're still at 5,600 homes. And for those of you that have not caught the show for forever and ever, you probably have not heard me say this, but balanced market in the Twin Cities is about 19,000 homes. Equal amount of buyers, equal amount of sellers. So that's kind of the market that everybody likes to get in. Your appreciation's at a small rate. Everything kind of holds tight. As a buyer, you can go out, take a look at a home, set up a second showing, you can negotiate your offer, etc. When you're at 5,600 homes on the market, it is, we're not 5,600 homes with a 2.8% interest rate. We're 5,600 homes with a, 6 interest rate. So things have slowed a little bit. But like Mike was saying at the beginning of the segment, we're not getting 45 offers like we did last year this time, but we're getting 15, we're getting 20. I mean, we're back in that run again. So when you go out and you're looking at anything under 500 grand, the chances of you staying out of a multiple is pretty rare.
And one thing I want to encourage people is, if you heard us talking about interest rates just a few minutes ago, and you're like, well, maybe we should wait. Maybe we should wait to see if interest rates come down a little bit. Well, here's the problem. Ryan just mentioned he's never seen so many buyer need emails. We have so many pre-approved buyers out there. Guess what? When interest rates hit a certain spot, everyone else is jumping in the pool at that point. You're not going to be able to get a house at that point. So you don't want to wait. You still want to make a move now. You date the rate and marry the house. Talked about that before. Get in the house now. Get the best terms of the house now. When rates come down in the future, we'll refinance you, and we'll refinance you with no cost.
Just one comment. This past week, I was out in Las Vegas. Remax celebrated their 50th year as a company, and they had a big event. And one of the things that was talked about regarding mortgage rates is that, over the last 10 to 20 years, we've kind of become we've gotten into this 30-year fixed sort of mentality that everyone has to do a 30-year fixed. And I know, Scott, you've talked about it over the years. The amount of time that people stay in their home is not 30 years. Again, depending upon family formation. And,
it's 5.
Yeah.
5 is the average.
So the concept talking about is looking at other types of loans, other types of fixed for 10 years, some of these different types of loans where you're getting a better rate. It allows you a little bit more affordability. And so they showed 2 things. They showed that, and again, they just showed historically interest rates, just the chart. When you look at it, it's frustrating for all, for agents and for buyers with interest rates doubling, but you got to look in the whole history of where things have been at, and rates are still historically low, and that's what it's hard for people to do that. But Mike, maybe more of those types of the 10-year fixed. Are you seeing anybody doing that type of thing instead of a 30-year?
We do see a few. We see a few people doing ARMs. We see a few people doing like 10 and 15-year fixed. If you do a 15-year fixed, your payment's higher because you're shortening that term up, right?
Sure.
So there are some people still doing that. Majority are still looking at 30-year fixed. One thing that inflation does is that it pinches your adjustable rates and your fixed rates together, right? So if you go back, let's just say go back 4 or 5 years ago, your 30-year fixed rate was at 5%. Your 5-1 ARM was at 3.5%.
Okay.
Right? You had a 1.5 difference in interest rate. In today's world, your 30-year fixed and your 5-year ARM, there may be only a 0.5% difference. And that's what inflation does. It pushes the short-term rates up and squeezes them together with the long-term rates.
How about a 10-year? If it's fixed for 10 years, it's still the same thing. I mean,
10 years. So if are you talking about a 10-year ARM or
10-year ARM?
Yeah, 10-year ARM.
Yeah, so a 10-year ARM, a 10-year ARM is priced the same as a 30-year fixed today, basically.
Okay.
Yeah, so then you wouldn't do it. But here's been my frustration on this through the years, and Ryan's obviously done the show with me forever, so he knows this. But what is your opinion of the percentage of people that should actually do a 30-year fixed versus the percentage of people that should do a 5-1 or 7-1 or 10-1 arm. What would be the percentage of people that should do a 30-year fixed?
Yeah, maybe we'll
I'd
talk about it
say-
after the break.
yeah.
Hold that thought.
I got an idea.
Okay.
You're welcome to join us here. We're also going to dive in with our friend Brad Sanford, Farmers Insurance, a longtime partner with the Minnesota Real Estate Show. If you go to mnrealestateshow.com, you'll see all of our great partners. These are trusted folks who help you as the client, help all of our agents buying, selling, investing in real estate. Please be sure to check them out. Wonderful folks who do a great job. 612-294-6949 is how you can join us anytime between 8 and 9 or throughout the week. If you want to go live on air with your question or by text, you're welcome to join us. We'll be back after the break. Thanks for tuning in. Brad, thanks for being so patient down there. You're waiting. Nice to see you down there.
I'm just trying to absorb the date the rate and marry the home. That doesn't really work for us, does it? Like date the policy, marry the agent.
Marry the agent.
Yeah, I was trying to figure that one out.
Yeah.
So Mike's point, and I guess it maybe I made this point about doing these 10-year, 5-year, 10-year, but so it sounds like there's no difference.
There's not a whole lot of difference now, and that's why you'll still see people doing 30 years. Like, wow, if that's the only difference I'm going to get, well, I might as well just do it.
Well, yeah, but even with that, that's what's bothered me. So back in the day, back in 2000, or I'm sorry,
Yeah.
back in, let's say 2001, rates were at about 8%, give or take. I'm bad with my 2000s, but whatever, around 8%. Well, a 7-1 or a 5-1 arm, might have been at 5.5 or 6, so a big difference.
Yeah.
Now there's maybe only a 0.5% difference, but my point is still valid. That's what people get sucked into. That's why people gamble and they put their extra, the extra quarter in because it's just a quarter. You're still looking at, okay, if 3% of the population stay in a house for over 10 years,
Sure.
or 5% or whatever it is, it doesn't matter what the break-in interest rate is. You're still better off doing a 10-1 arm or a 7-1 arm
Right.
because you saved a ton of money over that 7 years.
Right.
So that's the mentality of, well, what's the difference? Well, it's a 0.5% difference. Well, it's riskier to be on a 30. Well, it's not when you look at the majority of people selling every 5 years. I mean, I can think on one hand
Yeah.
of my clients over the last 25 years that are still in their house. I mean, I've got one or two,
They're buying certainty. You're
Yeah.
buying certainty. You're buying.
but it's an illusion of certainty
Right.
because it's not certain.
Yeah. Brad, what do you think?
I think the 30-year mortgage, you can make it whatever you want it to be, right? You can make an extra payment a year and cut your mortgage down to 23 years. And so I think the flexibility of a 30-year fix.
But
is
you can do
always
that on a
good.
7-1 arm too.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think the 30-year, how long are you going to stay in the home is really the question,
5 years.
right?
Yeah.
That's the average.
That's
right?
5 years.
That's the average.
That's the average. That's
5 years on
5 years.
average. Yeah.
Well,
It's-
my point
yeah.
is though, we've gotten into that mindset because you think, well, it's safer. Well, but nobody's there. I mean, I don't know, I've sold 1,000 homes. I don't know, I've sold in 25 years. And I can think of one or two clients that are still in their house.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah, good point. Good point, Mike. You're welcome to join us. We had a nice comment. It said Parade of Homes was hopping yesterday, was at a few models where traffic was heavy. It sounds like there is more. There's definitely more activity. It's great to see. We're going to talk a little bit, some different options with the Parade of Homes and how to find out more information about it. Again, new construction, just not seeing. Mike, are you hearing from any of your buyers deals getting done on new construction?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's deals definitely
Good.
getting on new shit. Builders are definitely wanting to sell homes, right? You look at the back half of last year, they went from record sales, the previous year to record non-sales, right? The last half
6
of last
months,
year,
yeah.
right? And so they're ready. Builders want activity. They want to get some deals going.
Here we go. We're going live on air. Welcome back to Love 105 FM every Sunday morning for the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Again, hosted by Illuminate Home Loans, Scott Wolmering, myself, Ryan O'Neill. Excited to be here every Sunday, 8 to 9 a.m. First segment, I always like to do real estate mortgage update. Today's A question of the week, unreal estate related, is what's your favorite show on streaming? Which again, it could be any of the different services. What's your favorite show right now? Scott, you want to kick us off on that?
Sure. So again, I've got a zillion of them that are everybody else's favorites. You know, we can go through the Breaking Bads and the Dexters and the whatever the other one was. There's tons of them. But I'm talking about current shows, maybe a really good show that other people don't know about. So mine is Animal Kingdom. So Animal Kingdom, I started watching about 2 weeks ago. There's 6 seasons. I'm done. And so
You're done.
It was one of those that would literally keep me up till 2 a.m. because every show ends with a cliffhanger. I've got Ryan on it now, and every single show you're like, well, crap, I can't stop watching it now. So then you go to, so anyways, I'm going to bed at 2 o'clock. But it's a great show. I won't get into all the ins and outs of it, but it's a group of thieves that are the son of a woman. Her name is Smurf. She's in charge.
Yeah.
And basically kind of runs this town with her kind of hooligan sons. And then of course all the characters are great. So it's just a really good. So Animal Kingdom is mine.
Animal Kingdom. Our friend, producer of the show, Mr. Jay Philpott from Love 105 FM. Jay, do you got any special favorites?
Well, I was really excited by this question because the show that I'm really into actually will debut its 3rd season next week, Ted Lasso.
Oh yes, no,
Ted.
I have not watched it, but I've heard that was really
Tell
good.
us, Jay, what thoughts?
Would you want a synopsis of the show real quick?
Why do you like it?
Because it's a sweet show that, well, first of all, Jason Sudeikis is amazing. He's just got such a great character that he's developed. He's a goofy guy, an American football coach hired by an English soccer club, and he knows nothing about the sport.
I've heard of that.
But he coaches through heart and motivation. So that's really kind of the core of the show.
Very cool. Ted Lasso, we got some questions or some comments coming in. I recently got sucked into Blacklist. Been around for a while, but never watched it before. Got another comment that says builders are giving a lot more incentives for clients.
They are actually a lot of 2-1 buy downs out there. A lot of them. We've talked about on the show probably for the last 6 months when rates went to 7.5. That in order to be competitive, builders were going to have to do this. And real short scenario of this is on a 2-1 buy down, if rates are at 6%, your first year, your rates are going to be at 4. Your second year would be at 5. And then third year, it would, what's the term I'm looking for?
So
Third year would go to 6 for
it
the
goes 6 for
life
the remainder of the
loan.
loan.
Yeah. And so what it's done is builders have put that money in because it costs money to buy those points down.
Sure.
But they've made it affordable. There's a lot of that going on out there. Before we went to break, I had asked you the question, what is the percentage of people that should be on a 30-year loan versus those that should always be on an ARM?
I'm gonna say about 25 to 30%, and that's a little bit higher than I know that what you're gonna say. And here's my reasoning why. There are some people that buy a house and stay there for a while. It's a small percentage, but there are some people like that. But you also have FHA loans and VA loans that are assumable, right? So if you're a VA buyer and you get a VA loan, well, let's say you bought a house 2 years ago and you got a VA 30-year fixed at 2.75%.
Sure.
You do a 30-year fixed. Now another VA buyer can assume that loan. So now your house is now marketable on a sale for how long, any time there, because given today, let's say you wanted to sell today. Well, a VA buyer could come assume your 2.75% interest rate today, right? Versus getting a new loan on their own at 6.5.
That's right.
So you have the FHA and the VA assumable stuff that comes into play a little bit there. That's why my number's a little bit higher. That's what I'm saying. 25% or so should do it. The other 75 do an ARM all day long.
Okay, so here's the question though. So
New topic.
No. Here's the question.
Enough on.
Here's the question to drive home my point. So 25%, and I would agree with you. I was thinking over the break, FHA and VA would be one reason 30-year fixed would make sense because you're going to lock that rate in and be able to give it to somebody else. The other thing I thought about is people that were maybe thinking of holding onto their home as a rental property.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so if you can lock it in at 2.5%, you live there for 5 years, you keep it, you move on to your next. Now you've got a 2.5% rate, so that makes sense. So again, if 25% on the upside should be doing a 30-year fixed, everybody else should be doing ARMs. what is the percentage of people that do a 30-year fixed versus an ARM? 99%.
Yeah.
Drives me nuts. Always has.
I'm trying to think like how many arms I've done just in the last 12 months. I literally think it's probably 3.
Yes.
Hey, Mike, we had a question from social media. And again, you're welcome to join us on social media or 612-294-6949. The question says, if someone assumes a VA loan, does that seller lose their entitlement to buy another home with a VA loan, Mike?
No, they don't lose that. Your entitlement gets transferred, right? So when that new buyer assumes the loan, the entitlement from that gets transferred. That buyer has to assume that as well. So that gets put underneath the buyer's name, and that opens up the seller now to get full entitlement and be able to use the VA loan on their next purchase.
Well, what makes that slick is a lot of people don't understand that. So let's say you've got the same house. I've got a split level, 1985 split level in Lakeville, and it is worth $350,000. And I'm at a 7% rate. You got the exact same house, and you're the owner of it, and you've got a 2.6% rate. Do those homes both sell for $350,000?
Great question.
They don't.
No.
It'd be the same as having an association payment where it's the same exact townhome. One association is $500 a month. The other association is $250 a month. The association that has the $250 a month, that homeowner is probably going to get $25,000 to $30,000 to $40,000 more for their house
Sure.
because the payment is still way lower than the exact same townhome with a $500 association rate. Same way with an interest rate. If I'm buying the exact same house and one's at 2.5% and the other's at 7.5%, I might get $50,000, $60,000 more for my split level than the other one would.
Want to welcome on again Brad Sanford, Farmers Insurance partner. Every week we have one of our partners join us here at the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Excited to have Brad with us. Brad, what is going on in the insurance world? Tell us what's new with you.
Well, much like Mike said, kind of there was a lull for a little bit, but it is picking up now. And so what I've been doing is I've been talking to people about the difference between a standard policy and then the endorsements that you can add to a policy. And, this is where insurance gets really exciting, right? But it's much like why someone would ask for our services, right? They're not experienced in insurance. They're not an agent, not a realtor, a great realtor like you two, or a great mortgage guy. And so we need to educate them on things like the service line coverage, right? Where your pipes from your home to the street are not covered by your home insurance policy, right? So there's a standard policy that adding on these additional endorsements help you to have your home fully covered and those kinds of things.
So talk about that a little bit. So you're talking about, again, from the sewer line from the house out to the city, and in many cities across the Twin Cities, you as homeowners, you may be nodding your head thinking, yeah, every year or two, I either have to clean that sewer line. There's a variety of different companies. Maybe there's tree roots, there's something. It can be problematic. I mean, just knowing people who've had to replace sewer lines, Brad.
Yeah, and like St. Paul and Minneapolis in the olden days, like when Scott was in elementary school, they would make the pipes out of like cardboard and clay meshed together.
Yeah.
And that stuff has just folded. And a lot of people say, well, my policy should cover that. Well, no, the standard policy doesn't cover the pipes.
So what do you do? I mean, is it you get that additional coverage?
And we pay up to $10,000 to have somebody come in, tear it up, and put the new stuff in. I had a client that her sewer line went halfway into her yard, then made a 90-degree angle, went over to her neighbor's yard and meshed into their
Oh my
pipes,
gosh.
and then it went out to the street. So
Hey, I got a question related to
is
Minnesota.
this 30-year fixed?
No,
Yeah,
I
can we go back to the interest
I
rates?
could go on forever on that. No, this is something that occurred to me when Fort Myers got hit with the most of Florida got hit with that hurricane. And I know what the cost here is of having flood insurance. It is astronomically expensive in Minnesota if the corner of your lot goes into the FEMA floodplain. So how do people there get flood insurance?
In
In Florida?
In Florida, Florida is such a anomaly. There's a lot of insurance companies get in because they want to make money, and then they jump out because it is so expensive to have an insurance company there. But we think flooded insurance is expensive here. Have a property in
Yeah,
Florida.
just
that's
down.
This I hear the state has a program. State of Florida itself has an insurance program down there. And if you have flood insurance, most of the people go through that state program.
I knew there had to be something because I was thinking, my gosh, everything is gone.
Yeah, and there's just a lot. I know from having friends and folks with down in Florida that there's a lot of companies that just don't insure down there as well. They just don't offer insurance down there, and so I'm not sure. I'm not sure if you heard about that too, Brad.
Yeah, great. The government is paying for it again. That means taxes go up.
That's right.
So
Right. 612-294-6949 is how you can join us. Every week we like to feature some listings too. Steve McDonald with the Minnesota real estate team, Remax Advantage Plus. He has a new one in Bloomington. It's at 9232 Yukon Avenue South in Bloomington, $747,000. And he said it's a 4-bed, 3-bath, 3-car garage home. It's over 3/4 of an acre. It's a wooded lot in West Bloomington. It's got a home theater, 3-season porch, fenced yard, and it does have a private setting, an open floor plan, all amenities on one level. Again, that's 9232 Yukon Avenue South in Bloomington, listed for $747,000. Nice listing, Mike. That one definitely is going to pick up some traction if it hasn't already.
Oh yeah, that's very nice.
Scott, you've got. I know you've got more thoughts there about your.
So I got a little. Did you know about that VA question? So we had that VA question of when another buyer comes in and assumes that VA loan, does that seller, do they lose their entitlement to be able to do a VA loan on the next house? That answer is no, because you can transfer that entitlement to the new buyer. That opens up the seller to go do a new VA loan. But a little did you know is that a non-vet can actually assume a VA loan.
Oh, I did not know that at all.
So a non-vet can assume a VA loan. The only problem there is that non-vet cannot get the entitlement transferred over to them because they're not a vet, right? So I'm a VA homeowner, and I have a VA loan, and a non-vet's going to come assume my loan. I can let them assume it, and they can take it over. The problem is that my entitlement to do another VA loan on a different house now
Is stuck with
that buyer,
Yeah,
and
that
I
makes
can't
sense.
do a VA loan.
That makes sense.
So that's why you don't see it happening, because I'm giving up my VA benefit to this non-vet buyer here, and I cannot use a VA loan on the next house. But it is possible.
Well, the other, sorry, Ryan, but the other thing that a lot of people don't understand is if I'm a vet and I buy a $300,000 house, zero down, zero out of pocket, which is what most VA loans are, or they like to do. So I buy it at 300,000, and now, and I'm at a 2.6% interest rate. Now we've gone 2 years, and now I want to sell it for 400,000. Somebody can assume my 2.6% rate. You can't come in and do a zero down at 400,000. You have to bridge that gap to get down to the current mortgage that VA is on. So if it's a $400,000 sale price and you're a VA buyer, you can get the 2.6 rate, but you've got to gap that $100,000. You've got to have $100,000 cash to put down.
So, Brad, I forgot to ask you, in that situation with the sewer, what is the cost insurance-wise to do that as a homeowner, to get that added to your policy? I mean, kind of approximate range.
Yeah, it's different for each home, which is a wishy-washy answer. So I'm going to tell you, it's around $50 a year.
Okay.
So nice
Nothing
$10,000
crazy.
coverage. Yep, just to add it on.
I can tell
helps
you from personal experience, I've actually had that happen to a rental property in Bloomington, where, again, it's very common for that to happen. And so you think about that, getting that insurance on there. That can be a real whammy from a cost standpoint, Brad.
But if they have a 30-year fixed, they can.
If they have a 30-year
They have a
fix.
30-year fix. They can fix it at year 6 when they're not in the house anymore.
Hey, we welcome your questions, comments, thoughts. 612-294-6949 is how you can join us. I did have one item I wanted to share. This past week, we have a situation where we are representing the buyer. The buyer has a closing coming up, and the seller passed away. very unfortunate situation. The seller unexpectedly passed away. And so now we have this purchase agreement in place for the buyer who's supposed to be closing on the home. And so there can be lots of twists and turns with real estate transactions. In this case, it's got to go through probate. So you have to have an open timeline when you can actually close on the property. And so sometimes these kinds of things happen, guys.
Yeah, I mean, that's fortunately, I've never had that exact situation happen. I've had situations where it's been close, and during that, let's say it's 90 days before the home is closed, and you've got a seller that is unfortunately not in, not in good shape, where you get with the family, and a lot of times they'll get a trust set up so that you don't have to go through probate and it's an easier transfer. But yeah, I mean, all those things. I did have one early on in my career where, very unfortunate, about a week outside of closing, where the seller had actually died in a car wreck, and then of course was not able to be at closing, and that was a mess.
Brad, streaming service. What's your favorite streaming service?
It's not service. What's
I'm
your
sorry,
favorite show?
Show.
My wife pays for like Netflix and Prime Video and all those.
And you're not a
things.
watcher.
I'm not. I'm really not. I did stream SEAL Team, so but I watched it for the season, so it was just kind of a rehash. But yeah.
Interesting. So you're not a TV watcher. Wow.
My wife tapes a lot of shows, so we watch those together, like Chicago Fire, Chicago PD, those kinds of things. But yeah, other than that, we're doing stuff around the house or something like that. We're kind of putting together our amortization table of our 30-year fixed mortgage, where we should fix,
Where you should do it.
Hey, if you're watching, and you again feel free to listening, share your favorite streaming program, a series. 612-294-6949 is how you can join us. Again, first segment we talked about, guys, low inventory, still very historically low, a lot of buyer demand. Parade of Homes. Mike, anything to share about the Parade of Homes, what you're hearing from agents, how people can get involved, that kind of thing?
Yeah, so Parade of Homes started yesterday. It goes for 4 weeks?
Yep.
4 weeks here. So you're going to have builders with their models that are open, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yep.
So you can go in there, you can check out all the new construction homes, new features, all this and that. There's builders out there, like we're talking about, they're ready to make a deal, right? So they definitely want to get some sales going here. We have a lot of financing incentives going on for the Parade of Homes now as well. So definitely check us out. We actually have a really good program out there for new construction. So we have a 7-year arm where you lock at 5.5% for 300 days.
Wow.
And the reason why that's so attractive right now is because if you're going to do a 30-year fix lock for 300 days, well, there's adjustments, right, to lock that far out. The 30-year fixed rates that you see advertised online, that's for like a 60-day lock. Well, you're not closing a new construction house for 270 to 300 days.
Yeah.
So that doesn't do you any good. So if you want to lock on a 30-year fix today for 300 days, you're probably going to be at 7.5 by the time this adjustment comes into play. Well, now you can lock on a 7-year arm at 5.5 for 300 days. And guess what? If 30-year fixed rates or 15-year fixed rates, if any sort of fixed rate, they come down before you're closing, for free, you can unlock your 7-year arm and jump over to the fixed rate. So it's a very good program out there. I don't think anyone else is doing it out there. And that's what we have going on for the Parade of Homes. So if you're looking at any sort of new construction, plug in with us because it's a really good program.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was going to say the other cool thing about new construction this year is you can buy it. I mean, there are builders with specs.
Yeah.
I mean, a year ago, if you were looking last January, you were going to move in this January. I mean, there were no homes to move into. I was talking about Jen and Country Joe, which is one of my favorite. For those don't know who Country Joe is, it's a mid-sized builder, primarily out of south of suburbs. Just a great builder, really great product, and they have, I think, 3 specs right now in their development. Between 700 and $1 million too. A year ago or a year and a half ago, those would have been a year out. There were no specs.
Yeah, we're up against our final break here at the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Throughout the week, 612-294-6949 is how you can join us by phone or by text. Questions, comments, thoughts. We're a team, the Minnesota Real Estate team here in the Twin Cities, that helps buyers, sellers, real estate investors. If you are a potential seller thinking about selling your home, you can go to mnrealestateshow.com. to fill out a free market analysis. It's done by an agent on the Minnesota real estate team that knows your area, knows your neighborhood, knows your city. There's certainly no obligation for you to have to even meet with an agent if you prefer not to, if you're just wanting to know what your value is for your property with the rise in prices the last few years. Don't hesitate to check out mnrealestateshow.com. After the break, we're going to continue the discussion with our friend Brad Sanford and Farmers Insurance. This is the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Thanks for joining us on social media too, wherever you might be catching us. Brad, any other thoughts for folks from an insurance standpoint?
Man, there's the standard policy really is, if your home gets hit by a tornado or something like that burns it down, talking to your agent, making sure that you have coverages like the limited water leakage policy. If a pipe bursts, then that's covered by insurance, right? Because it's an accident, something happened. But if you've got a slow drip and it weakens the floor and then it gets down into the ceiling, and that's not covered by a standard policy. So understanding that there are additional things that you can add to cover your home is the best bet. And I should have said, for a streaming service, I should have said the Minnesota real estate team, right? I should have said I get together on Friday night with couples and we stream every one of the shows.
That's right.
Gets wild.
You're all invited.
That's right. That would be a fun.
Mike said, are you a streaming guy, Mike?
I don't watch any TV.
Oh, Mike.
Of course you don't.
I mean,
Golly.
if the TV I watch is sports.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So if there's a game on or something, I'll watch that. But
Yeah, if
I got 4 kids and they're all into something, and it's like
No time for TV.
No,
for you.
there isn't at
I
that
got
age.
zero time. I got zero time to do any of that. So
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, literally, I could have the Golf Channel, NFL Network, Fox News, and the streaming stuff because that's all I watch. I don't watch any other channels.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Scott's happy.
Yeah, I'm happy.
When we come back from the break, we're going to take. We had a question come in again, 612-294-6949 by phone or text, or again, just commenting on our social media stream here too. We've got one final segment here on the show. Thanks for joining us every Sunday morning, guys. We're getting ready to go live on air right now. Love 105 FM. Welcome back to the Minnesota Real Estate Show here on Love 105 FM every Sunday morning, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. We welcome your questions, comments, thoughts. We talk all real estate related, mortgage related here in the Twin Cities. Today we have Brad Sanford, Farmers Insurance. Brad gave a very good tip, again, from an endorsement, especially regarding septic systems, the pipes from your home, you said, Brad, to the city street are not covered under home insurance.
Under a standard policy, those are not covered. Absolutely. So have a conversation with your agent. I was saying off air that the standard policy will cover if a pipe bursts or something like that. But if you have a slow drip that is coming in from outside, or a pipe is leaky and it causes the roof below, the ceiling below to get all wonky, that's not covered by insurance. That's not on a standard policy. So having those conversations with your agent, and I know that's exciting. You can set aside a couple hours on a Friday night or a Thursday night and just kind of go through your policy together and make sure that it's covered the way you want it to be.
Yeah, again, Brad, before we forget to, again, you're a longtime trusted partner here at the Minnesota Real Estate Show with the Minnesota Real Estate Team. Best way for people to connect with you. And again, you obviously do all types of insurance.
Yes, all kinds of insurance. Minnesota Real Estate Show under the insurance tab, or the phone is 651-690-2076. Or you can join our streaming parties on Wednesday night when we listen to the Minnesota Real Estate Show.
Real Estate Show.
We just get together with couples and we stream it.
Hey, before we dive in to the question about favorite shows, I did have one other listing. Jennifer Tischlitter has got this one in Woodbury. It is 5034 Sand Pebble Lane, listed for $640,000. It is a 6-bedroom home. Wow, 6-bedroom, 4-bath, built in 2018, 4,368 square feet. And Jennifer said it's a former model. It's like new construction, and it's in the desirable South Ridge development of Woodbury. She said no option was missed with this all-inclusive open floor plan, endless natural light, beautiful hardwood floors throughout, gourmet kitchen, all the bells and whistles on this. A really nice looking home. You check it out online too. 5034 Sand Pebble Lane. Again, 6-bed, 4-bath, almost 4,400 square feet, built in 2018. Nice looking home, Mike. You can see the photos of that too.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now as you pull it out. It does look nice.
Yeah, a nice, a really solid looking property. Scott, we talked. Oh, sorry, Mike.
I was gonna say, can I throw a random question out to you, Brad?
Yeah, absolutely.
So solar. So solar is gonna become more popular, right? We're gonna see it more coming up here. Does that do anything on the insurance side of things? Does it add cost? Does it subtract cost? Is it just no effect or?
No, you got to talk to your agent and you've got to add those solar panels to your policy.
Okay.
A standard policy does not cover the solar panels. So yes, you'll have to add that, and that will add an expense. I've had clients do it. So
That's one place where I've realized I'm completely different than I would never put solar panels on my house. I mean, I understand that over 50 years or over 30 years when you're living in your house with a conventional 30-year fixed, that you can save some money on it.
Sure,
But that is just not me.
it's not your cup of tea.
I mean, would you do it?
I mean, I see why people.
Oh, you're
do
thinking I'm going to offend people that have solar panels. No, that's exactly. You can see it as, oh my gosh, how am I going to yell that? I can see why people would do it.
No, I mean, I don't think that I probably personally would do it. But I actually know 3 or 4 people who do have solar panels, and it's kind of one of those things that it's. I get it. I understand why. Cost savings. That type of thing, Mike.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things where it's gonna creep up. It's just like electric cars too, right? We're gonna see more and more. It's not gonna come on as fast as electric cars. It seems like electric cars are gonna take over the world, and like within 5 years,
Yeah.
50% of the cars out there will be on the road will be electric. But
Well, yeah, because they couldn't make it home.
right.
That's so bad.
they'll be on the road.
They'll be on the
I
road.
can't buy an electric car yet because I think of my ice fishing trip I go on. I got to drive 6.5 hours north to the Lake of the Woods, and then I got to drive another 45 minutes onto the lake when I get there. Like, how many times do I have to stop and charge? And am I going to get caught on the lake?
I mean, I can't charge my cell phone. I mean, I can't charge my cell phone. I'm definitely not going to be in charge of my transportation. I just want to be able to get in and go. I don't want to have to charge it.
Yeah, throughout the week, 612-294-6949 is how you can join us by phone or by text. We had a text message question come in from Kim. Kim asking about the condo documents. Do I always get 10 days to review condo docs? I'm looking at buying a condo here in St. Louis Park. Mike, do you always get 10 days?
I think it defaults to 10 days unless you write a different number of days into the contract.
You can do 3 now. You can agree to do 3 days. What's the stipulation on that? It has to be.
There's a separate document
That's right.
that's included as part of the purchase agreement where the buyer can reduce it from 10 down to 3 days. But you have to remember the buyer can back out for any reason under the sun during that, in this case, 3-day period. It doesn't have to be related to the condo docs, Mike.
So only 3 days. So it's not, you can't go all the way down to 1. The government says, look, we're going to do a baseline of 3, and that's the lowest you can go.
Yeah, it's 3 days. Mike.
Okay.
I mean, everybody knows this.
Come on.
It's 3
Brad?
days. 3 days.
Everybody knows.
Everybody
it's 3
knows
days.
this.
3 days.
Condo policies for insurance, there are some condos that associations that will not allow the condo owner to sue one of the other condo owners if water leaks down to their unit. So make sure you take a look at that. Just insurance, exciting again, right?
It is.
That's,
Yes.
that's good to know though,
Yeah.
because that can happen often. I mean, often I've you get people moving into condo buildings, and maybe you have a neighbor. I remember last year we helped a young couple who they moved into the condo, and the one neighbor was super loud. They tried to work it out, and again, depending upon the building, how the building's constructed, I don't know. You get a lot of people living close together.
So here's an interesting condo doc thing. Actually, Ryan and I went through this, maybe 6-8 months ago. I'd never run into it in 20-some years. So the way that the condo docs work, as soon as the condo docs are delivered to the buyer, their 10 days, well, let's
Yeah.
use 10 days or 3 days, but in this case, 10 days,
Yeah,
their 10 days starts from the time that they receive the condo doc.
sure.
So so nowadays with everybody being able to download everything and have the, you can have the documents online. So you come in, Mike, as a buyer, and you write an offer on my place on a Sunday.
Okay.
Okay. I send over the condo docs to you on Sunday when you wrote your offer. So you've received them. We don't come to terms on this sale. We go back and forth, countering, et cetera, et cetera. We don't come to terms on it until Friday. So 5 days later, but that's when our contract is in place. So now we have a signed purchase agreement. So do your 10 days for the condo rescission, which means you have a right to receive the documents, read them. If there's anything you don't find in there that you like, you can back out. That's a state statute. So does your state statute ability to walk because of the townhome association docs, does that start on Sunday when you receive them? Or does it start on Friday after the contract is signed?
What do you think, Mike?
Well, common sense would say it should start on Friday because that's when your contract was valid. But because you're bringing this up, now I'm guessing it's Sunday, right? Because of that. But I'm very curious to get the actual answer.
Yeah,
Is it
Sunday.
Is it Sunday?
Yeah, it's Sunday.
When it's delivered. So when it's actually delivered to the other party is when that starts.
Yeah, and and again, I've never run into it because it just doesn't happen a lot. I mean, normally you come to terms on the purchase agreement,
Right.
then you send over the condo docs, and that's when your day starts. Well, in this particular situation, I was actually the buyer's agent, and the listing agent said to me, "Hey, I just want to confirm. I just want to confirm that you received the townhome docs."
Sure.
And anyways, it was 2 days went by, and I was like, that was a weird question. Why would he care
Mm.
to confirm I had the townhome docs? We haven't even come to terms on this deal yet.
Right.
But anyways, it kept running through my head because it was just strange that he asked that.
Yeah.
So then I dug into it.
Yeah.
And out of the 5 or 6 agents I asked, everybody's answer was no, it starts at the contract. It does not start at the contract.
Right.
It starts with your email or whatever else you've got that's confirmed that you've got the townhome association
Wow.
delivered.
Wow.
Good.
Very strange though. It does not make sense to me still.
Right.
Yeah, 612-294-6949 is how you can join us here at the Minnesota Real Estate Show throughout the week too, with your questions, comments, thoughts as we look forward here in the spring market. Again, seeing historically low inventory levels, a lot of buyer demand out there. Remember, as a home seller, that you can always make your home sale subject to you finding a home of your choice. In other words, oftentimes people get worried about, hey, I can put my home on the market, but where am I going to move to? And remember that, again, you can put your home on the market, get an accepted offer. It's subject to you finding a home of your choice within a certain amount of time. That allows you to write non-contingent on another property. And so if you're thinking about potentially moving, Scott and Mike and Brad, that's normally the first step we recommend is listing the home first instead of trying to write contingent offers, because especially in this market, contingent offers are just not very hard to get accepted unless it is a super high price point property or maybe just something more not in demand. People don't want contingent offers, guys.
Yeah, and I would also just kind of piggyback with what Ryan says. That is correct. You can write, subject to the successful closing of your home, but your home hasn't closed yet. So depending on the price range that you're in, you would still be writing an offer contingent on the successful closing of your home, which is how 99% of all transactions are done. So it's not rare. But in a market like this, where you are competing with 15, 20 offers, a lot of people are living with their folks. A lot of people are in temporary housing,
Sure.
meaning they do not have to have the successful closing of their home. Their home closed 3 months ago. They're living with grandpa and they've got their money in hand to buy. So this is one of the hardest things right now in this market. You do have to talk as a family and say, look, we're in the $500,000-$600,000 price range. That's what we want to buy in. The chances of us getting an offer through with the successful closing of our home,
Limited.
It's limited. And so unfortunately in this market, sometimes you do have to live with some folks for a while.
Like Scott.
Yeah, like
right?
me.
Don't you offer that, right?
Oh, absolutely. You can live with me.
Brad, you got a thought? I
Well,
can
that's
tell.
that's really what we're here for, right? Is your comment about not wanting to list unless they know where they're going to go. us joking around or talking about the 30-year fixed mortgage. It's about the fear that the client has,
That's right,
right?
sure.
And you got to mitigate that fear. And that's what we offer here, experts mitigating the fear by the knowledge that we carry. So I think that's
Good
ultimately a
analysis.
good
That was
thing.
really good. No, but it's so true. It is so true. We know it's hard, especially talking to a lot of home sellers are like, look, we can't start looking at homes. The other comment I had recently, just was talking to a friend who was thinking of maybe moving versus doing a big home improvement project. And I think what people forget sometimes about home improvement, guys, is you don't get your money out of that. You can look at we've shared a lot of resources on what percent you get out of doing this. If you like the physical home and the location, I would stay there. But if you're doing it for other reasons, people never get their money out of it. And that's what's hard about it. You spend $75,000 on a bathroom or a kitchen or all these different things. And then you're sorely disappointed when you end up trying to resell. And that's where sometimes people are further ahead to say, look, let's sell. Yeah, maybe the rates are at 7 right now. Maybe we can do one of these crazy arms or something a little bit
You mean
lower.
crazy
You mean
arm.
something that everybody should do, Arm?
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Reasonable arm.
Yes.
30-year fixed.
But it causes, I think, some people to not sell and not move because of that, guys.
That's right. Well, like Ryan said, we've gone through these numbers forever, so I'm probably going to be off a little bit on these numbers, but this is pretty typical. If you made no mistake, so you did a kitchen remodel, and you did not miss a beat, meaning you had everything that every buyer was looking for in their new kitchen. It wasn't one that you said, well, I like this and so likes this and their personal needs. You just made no mistakes.
Sure.
You get a 65% return. So you put 100 grand into your kitchen, you get $65,000 out of it. Doesn't really make sense to do that if you're going to sell your house.
Yeah.
Now, things that make your house sellable, where you might still not get the return out, but you'll get a higher return: carpet, paint, light fixtures, making the house smell good, keeping it clean, yeah, etc. Those are your cheapest, and you get the highest return on those.
Sure.
And in some cases, maybe you don't get dollar for dollar back, but you wouldn't sell your house unless you did it. You're not going to sell it with horrible carpet. You're not going to sell it with chipped walls. So these are things you just have to do to sell the house.
Yeah. Again, last couple of minutes here, Brad. Last thoughts for people as we head to the home stretch of the Minnesota Real Estate Show.
I would say that incorporating someone with the Minnesota real estate team, helping you out whenever you're looking for a home, or, I'll be boring and just say insurance, have that meeting with your agent every year. Make sure that the value is right on the home, you have the right coverage, and that you trust your agent. That's the biggest thing is, do you trust your agent, and move forward with them.
Yeah, I encourage you to reach out again to Brad Sanford, Farmers Insurance. If you go to mnrealestateshow.com, trusted agent. He's helped some very close friends, family of mine has really done a wonderful job. Very helpful, low pressure, knowledgeable. So thanks for all you do, Brad.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, Mike, last thoughts?
But what's your streaming thing before we get to the
Streaming,
end?
I love the show. It's called Your Honor is the name of it.
I've heard of that.
Your Honor. See, Scott thought I wasn't going to share
Oh,
one.
I thought it was going to be something. I like the one where they're saving
Your
puppies.
Honor.
They're saving puppies, and and so yeah. No, I've heard Your Honor is good.
Your Honor is a good one. Either I think it's Showtime or it's on Sundays, Sunday nights, actually. Mike, last thoughts?
FHA made some changes for the better. I think we might see some more FHA offers creep in there. Still going to be tougher to get those accepted. But I would imagine that if we have this conversation a few months from now, you're going to say that you probably got more FHA offers coming in on homes because they have reduced their mortgage insurance premiums.
Yeah.
Makes it more attractive out there.
Yeah, very cool. Scott, nice job, bud. Last thought?
Yeah, no, just get out there, enjoy the parade of homes. This is a great time to go out there and take a look at what's coming and what the new trends are. It's always fun. I'm actually going to spend quite a bit of time myself today going out for some clients, going through some new construction. A great market again. We've been blessed here the last 3 years. It's been a solid real estate market. No matter what side of the coin you're on, it is a good time to jump in. We've settled back in prices. I think last year at this time, our average rate our cost was $384. I think now housing prices are $340, so about 10% less over the last 12 months. And that's, I think, where we're going to kind of stop.
It's been a fun show here at the Minnesota Real Estate Show. We appreciate you joining us every Sunday morning on Love 105 FM. A big thanks as well to Jay Philpott from the station who helps us every week We'll be back next weekend. I hope everybody has a great week. This has been the Minnesota Real Estate Show. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Hope your weekend has gone well. 30-year fixed rates. We promise more on it next weekend. More on it next weekend. Take care, everybody. Have a good
ya.
weekend. See you later.